Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends. Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good evening, it's 9 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
genocide.
A terrorist attack
Israel is committing genocide.
There was a terrorist attack in
Israel is committing genocide.
Do you understand
There is a live genocide.
Do you understand
There
why?
is a live genocide.
Well, I'll be bringing you exclusive footage from those London protests today. I'm not going to be cowed by the far left in my own city. And...
All right, that's all you
Why
do.
am I
You
far
ain't even
right?
got
What
real
makes me
sources.
far right?
I know you're far right.
What makes me far right?
I know you're far right.
No, of course I'm far
Darling,
right.
you're far right.
Why am I... Apparently, I'm far right, but they can't seem to define what it is. And that's all because I was merely asking questions. And...
Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine!
Now, Prime Minister Keir Starmer rolled out David Lammy, of all people, to speak at the Manchester terrorist attack vigil yesterday. I don't know about you, but this government's response feels utterly hollow and weak. Plus,
I was taken to a street to meet a woman who I was told had strong views on immigration. I knocked on the door. She invited me in. We had a cup of tea and a rich tea biscuit.
Well, we knocked on her door too, and in a TV exclusive this evening, we'll be joined by that woman, Joyce Todd, who became the centrepiece of the Prime Minister's party conference speech. What do you think she has to say? Also,
the only way we've concluded that we can control our country's borders and restore parliamentary sovereignty so the public actually get what they vote for is by leaving the ECHR. And we've got a plan to do that. We've thought it through properly, unlike reform, and that is what we're announcing today.
And the Conservative Party conference is nearly upon us, and Kemi Badenoch has had an epiphany 337 days into her leadership, and she's finally said that they will leave the ECHR if the Tories form the next government. If the Tories form the next government. That's the key line, isn't it? And schools have been told to place Britain's rich culture and history at the heart of the UK's national curriculum in an effort to restore national pride. Why are they being taught to hate Britain in the first place? Also...
Eugene, good morning. Your Royal Highness.
It's not quite golden carriage, is it? Will Prince William reform the monarchy? And in a surprise visit to Europe, her first in over 2 years, as Meghan Markle has been spotted this evening in Paris for Fashion Week. No sign of her husband, Prince Harry, though. And on my panel tonight, we've got former Labour Party advisor Paul Richards, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, and former Met Police detective Peter Blexley. And superstar Taylor Swift's released a new album.
Her name was Kitty, made her money being pretty and witty. They gave her the keys to this city.
Yes, she's also showed off her new hardware on Graham Norton last night.
And there's a lot to congratulate Taylor Swift about, but the one that I feel I ought to congratulate is the new bit of finger jewellery.
The hardware upgrade?
Yes! Check it out!
Well, as you can see, I've got a jam-packed show for you tonight with exclusive footage across the next 2 hours. So you're going to want to stay tuned. But first, we're going to cross live to GB News national reporter Will Godley, who's in Manchester to give us an update on that devastating terror attack.
Yeah, good evening, Alex. From the scene here, it's been very busy today with police officers coming and going throughout the day, counter-terror police officers who have been taking the lead on this investigation here in unmarked uniforms, just wearing ordinary clothes, but very much in control of this operation here alongside Greater Manchester police officers and specialist officers in forensic gear, checking for evidence, looking for clues to establish exactly what's happened on Thursday morning here at the horrific attack at the Heaton Park Synagogue, just 100 metres or so behind where I'm standing. But police not just busy here, but in Bolton as well, where a raid took place earlier on this morning. And the counter-terror police this afternoon gave an update on the numbers of people arrested. 6 now in custody, arrested on suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. 4 of those people will stay in custody for up to 5 more days as police were given a warrant to continue questioning them as they look to establish the facts here, particularly 2 lines of questioning the police needing to work out. Was Jihad al-Shami, that 35-year-old man believed to be the terrorist responsible for Thursday morning attack, was he a lone wolf, or did he have other assailants helping him prepare for this horrific attack here? And also, what was his motivations behind the attack? Yesterday, police saying they believed he could be influenced by extreme Islamist ideologies. They'll be looking at his hard drives, computers to see if that is the case, if he was radicalised, and if so, who radicalised him. That's another line of questioning for the police as they continue their investigation. And Andy Burnham, the mayor of Greater Manchester, today telling GB News how proud he is of those first responders here at the scene.
proud of our fire service, who attended within minutes on the scene and provided care to those injured. Obviously North West Ambulance Service, but particularly Greater Manchester Police, who dealt with the situation with incredible professionalism and speed. I've seen some of the scenes, the footage, and I can only say to you that I, as Mayor of Greater Manchester, am proud of our officers.
Well, in the last hour or so, the Assistant Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Chris Sykes, paid also tribute to the hard-working police officers here who, he said, were working 12-hour shifts and have worked on their days off to ensure Manchester remains safe, particularly that British Jews here in the community remain feeling safe. Of course, they are mourning and grieving two of their community killed in that attack on Thursday. Adrian Dalby and Melvin Kravitz, who were killed here on Thursday morning. 3 other people, police confirming this morning, remain in hospital in a serious condition, and police and people here paying tribute to them, laying flowers and also praying for their speedy recovery throughout the day here.
Thank you, Will Godley there, live in Manchester. Thanks for being on the scene there as well, Will. It means a lot to our audience that we are up and down this country. Well, there were deeply distressing and I think disgusting scenes of jubilant Gaza demonstrators on the very same night a horrific terrorist attack was carried out in Manchester by a radical Islamist extremist. And do you remember these scenes just a few weeks ago too?
Come from down in Devon, South Devon, Exmouth. We thought it was our right. We have to make a stand. So we want to show our support.
And how long has it taken you to get down here?
Oh, we've come on the coach. Actually, we didn't get held up. It's all gone very smoothly, and we're so pleased we're part of it, because this is going to be a very historical day.
What a stark contrast. Hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people attending a peaceful rally throughout London, followed by, of course, 25 arrests of a small group of people who almost ruined it for everyone else there, by the way. And that rally was met by vast condemnation by the left-wing media elite and political establishment. Keir Starmer, Shabana Mahmood, David Lammy, Yvette Cooper and, of course, the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, all branded the Unite the Kingdom rally as racist, far-right thuggery due to those 25 arrests. But let's contrast it, shall we? These were the scenes we saw, of course. 40 arrests on Thursday night by pro-Gaza demonstrators. 40. And where was our Prime Minister? What was the response he gave? Well, let me show you the best he could do.
That Britain is a place where you and your family are safe, secure, and belong. Thank you.
No condemnation of the far left, no condemnation of 40 arrests in central London the night of a terrorist attack. Well, he wasn't sticking around for any questions, was he, after that scripted speech? Meanwhile, the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, said she was disappointed and that it was un-British. Yet no condemnation either of violent far-left thuggery. I just want to remind the government that this country suffered a devastating terrorist attack on Thursday evening, killing and deliberately targeting Jewish people. Where is the condemnation of Islamist fundamentalism from the Prime Minister? It's not just a missing condemnation from the PM on either of those two events, who, as I showed, was very quick to condemn the Unite the Kingdom rally. There's not been a single word from any Labour politician about the violence shown to police that same evening, nor them promising to crack down on extreme Islamism. The best they could offer was to roll out David Lammy, of all people.
So therefore, I have great pleasure in introducing our Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy. And before I do, please, We know how we all feel. We know how we all feel.
Go to Palestine! Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine! Leave us alone!
I'm not surprised at that reaction, are you? Their failure to condemn that violent Gaza march and radical Islamism has deeply exposed the two-tier rot in the Labour Party. It's one rule if you're a far-left thug and another for everyone else. I, for one, do not want these people running my country. Do you? Do you think it's acceptable for biased opinions about the people of this country? Because I certainly don't. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Former Labour Party advisor Paul Richards joins me, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, and former Met Police detective Peter Blexley. Paul, I'll start with you for balance on this. I'm appalled. I'm appalled with this government. I'm appalled with the Mayor of London. What we have seen over the last 48 hours, particularly on the arrest of those 40 people who were violent on the night of a terrorist attack, absolutely disgraceful people, but we've had no condemnation. Why is that?
I think there's been plenty of condemnation.
Not of that, right? No, hang on. Let's be clear. Not of that protest. We haven't.
I think there's been plenty, and you've seen lots of arrests today. I mean, this is my first opportunity, by the way, just to express my own condolences to those families and to say that may their memory be a blessing. Second of all, to the Jewish community, to say we are with you, we stand with you in solidarity. The Prime Minister came straight back from Denmark. He convened the COBRA, the emergency committee. He put police resources outside every synagogue in the UK. My Jewish friends tell me they saw that presence almost within hours to defend the Jewish community. And he called on those decent people to say, look, you know, we will stand with you as a government. And he called on the demonstrators to stay at home. So what kind of people then come out and demonstrate in that situation? And they can ignore the Prime Minister, that's fine, but to ignore the Jewish community itself, saying, please, on this day of all days, just stay at home, don't do your demo. I think it's reprehensible those people came out. And we saw the consequences with the mass arrest today and some of the hate that was on show, some of the slogans, some of the chanting, the mainstreaming of this anti-Semitic kind of sloganising around from the river to the sea and globalise the Intifada and all this stuff. And I think the government now has to absolutely crack down on that, on the ideology that lies behind it, and to be much, much tougher in its response.
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't seen the Prime Minister condemn the 40 people that were arrested and those marches and gone out and stood on a podium, Peter, or issued a public statement on X, like Sadiq Khan was very quickly to do, like Yvette Cooper was quick to do, like Shabana Mahmood was to say.
Do you not think he's? I mean, his wife's Jewish, for God's sake.
No, that
do you not think
doesn't
he
matter.
doesn't care?
It doesn't. Well, he's also an English person. He still condemned the United Kingdom rally. It doesn't matter, right? We can't. I don't want to confuse his response to the terror attack with his response to the 40 far-left thugs that were arrested for attacking police, because they're two different things. Whilst they are the same under the same umbrella, in my opinion, he still was unable to do that. None of the Labour front bench have condemned that rally, and I think that's deplorable.
And there is something that you've missed out this evening, Alex.
Tell me.
That gathering in Whitehall on Thursday, and I saw some of the unsavoury characters gathering there because I was at GBNews on Thursday afternoon. So as I was going to Westminster Tube Station, there they were gathering with their placards and their hate. That gathering in Whitehall, where there were the 40 arrests, was a tiny, tiny gathering in comparison to the Unite the Kingdom march. So not only were there more arrests, but as a proportion of the people that were there, it was a hugely bigger proportion. Therefore, it's a much more law-breaking, unlawful rabble that gathered there. And of course, the disrespect that they showed on Thursday evening is really quite astonishing.
It reminds me of the people that came out and demonstrated for the pro-Palestinian cause on the day after the 7th October massacre, long before any IDF military intervention. What goes through the mind of somebody in that situation?
I think we know exactly what.
Well, I mean, my concern is they're not demonstrating, they're celebrating.
Yeah, well, they're hate marches, in my opinion, Linda.
I mean, I listened to Jonathan Porritt, for example, this morning on the radio, and I listened to some of the clips from people who were demonstrating this afternoon against the in support of the Palestine Action Group. And I just think, where is their respect Why do they not respect what has gone on this week enough to give it a rest just for one weekend? Plus, from the police's point of view, they have to go in and police these events when they actually should be concentrating on protecting our Jewish communities. Now, on our air, a short while ago, actually, I met some from, because of it, I met some from the Jewish Military Veterans Association. And, you know, to my own shame, I didn't realise quite how threatened the Jewish community was. He told me they were really, really living in fear. Yeah. But I didn't get, and that's a one-to-one conversation, I didn't get just how profound that fear was. Well, I did this week, and surely to goodness, those people with their placards, I know it's a peaceful demonstration, I would defend to the hilt their right to protest. But, you know, where's their respect?
I mean, that raises an interesting point, which is why can't the government ban these kinds of protests? Even for, well, the law is not clear on this. And
well,
I think
they banned EDL protests before, by the way. There's plenty of public
I think that you could certainly have maybe a 30-day moratorium or something. Yeah. Lord Wolney did a report into extremism, and one of his recommendations was that the government should be able to ban those kinds of demonstrations, which are clearly provocative and hate-fuelled. And yes, we will all defend freedom of speech. We will all defend the right to demonstrate, but it's not unlimited, and there are moments when it has to be to
answer your question, by the way, why they're there, we're going to talk about that at 10 o'clock, because I've got footage. I asked them, what do you think you're doing here on this week of all the weeks, and what do they think of the people that celebrated?
At the last count, today's protest in Trafalgar Square, there were 355 arrests. Now, many of those people sit down on the ground deliberately and are non-cooperative. They don't get up and walk off with the police officers.
You'll see that as well. We have that.
It does. One on each limb and one on the head, so that it doesn't whack itself on the pavement.
Well, we've got footage of it. I saw the amount of. I mean, I really felt for the police, because of course they need to look after themselves as well. There's whole trolleys of police officers. I mean, there's caravans of them having to lift these blokes up off the floor and drag them, and they are uncooperative. They are resisting arrest essentially.
It's just consuming so much in terms of police resources, when there are many, many better things, more pressing concerns.
Linda, do you think the Prime Minister or the Home Secretary or the Mayor of London should have come out and condemned that march that took place the night of the terror attack? Because it's been crickets on that.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a heinous crime that has happened, you know, in our country, and it deserved the very, very strongest condemnation.
And Paul, this goes back to the root of what I was trying to say, is that you can't go out and condemn a rally where 25 people got arrested, 100,000, as Peter correctly pointed out, 100,000 more people than were there on the night of the terrorist attack, and yet say nothing when it looks like bias, doesn't it? And the public can't get behind bias, can they?
Well, I mean, there's been a debate around two-tier policing, but I mean, these demonstrators, there's no doubt at all. There's no two-tier policing there. They've gone in, they've been arrested in their...
I'm talking about two-tier care.
They've been arrested in the hundreds, quite rightly, in my humble opinion. But I just wonder again, what goes through the mind of somebody? What are they trying to achieve? You know,
well, trust me,
you're ducking the issue, though, Paul, because obviously we know this government will never condemn a march in such terms that it does. Something that's perceived to be on the right of the political spectrum is always given the most vicious condemnation. Something on the left, a demonstration, a protest, a march on the left never gets the kind of condemnation from your party, from your Prime Minister, that the right does.
Unfortunately, it is biased. It is now exposed as that, because they had an opportunity to come out and condemn it, and I would have applauded the Prime Minister. I condemned the people that rioted, that fought back at the police on the Unite the Kingdom rally. I'm happy to condemn anyone who commits violence against the police, but if the Prime Minister and Sadiq Khan and the front bench of the Labour government cannot do the same, have less respect than me, then I think there's a serious problem with their government.
They're too worried about the Gars and some of their constituents.
They're weak and scared.
And by natural extension, the Muslim bloc vote, of which returns so many Labour MPs. It's blatantly obvious. We can all see it. There's no disguising it. There's no hiding it.
I'll just have one little line in here, just for balance. But the Jewish community and several other people in that area of Manchester have in fact praised the
They have
Muslim
indeed.
community for helping unify them on the ground at a grassroots level. I think it's important to highlight that.
And they've also praised the government for acting swiftly and putting the police on the streets. And I do praise the government for doing that.
Within hours, they were outside synagogues.
I think they've responded very well to the post the event happening, but I'm still yet to hear the condemnation of these hate marches, which I would very welcome. I think you all would at home too. Anyway, a bit of a gear change here, because there's plenty of time to get your entry in for our great British giveaway, our greatest one to date. It's your chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth motorhome. Here's all the details.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people, comes with integrated bathroom and kitchen areas, has plenty of storage and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, taking the total prize value of this great British giveaway over a whopping £104,000. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Blinds close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck, everybody. Well, coming up.
I was taken to a street to meet a woman who I was told had strong views on immigration. I knocked on the door. She invited me in. We had a cup of tea and a rich tea biscuit.
Oh, I'm sure the Prime Minister's not going to be happy to hear this, but we've also welcomed Joyce Todd herself to come on to the show tonight. She, of course, is the centrepiece of the leader Keir Starmer's party conference speech there. I'll be really excited. I'm sure you're going to be looking forward to what she has to say to that too. But next, are children ashamed of British culture? Are your children being taught that at schools? This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Alex Armstrong Tonight. Well, schools have been told to place Britain's rich culture and history at the heart of the UK's national curriculum in an effort to restore national pride. Campaigners and head teachers across the UK told GB News that corrosive changes over the last 30 years have resulted in children being taught that Britain's national culture and history is, quote, intrinsically morally flawed. Some have even observed that anti-patriotism is a political view which is presented in schools as common sense. Well, last year, The Telegraph uncovered that guidance was created for teacher training courses to ensure future educators are anti-racist, as some were instructed on how to disrupt the centrality of whiteness. Is it any surprise that we're asking tonight, are children being taught to be ashamed of British culture? And I'm now joined by a fantastic cultural historian and academic, Dr. Philip Kisley, and head teacher of LVS Ascot, Christine Caniff. Thank you both very much for joining me. Well, Christine, I'll start with you. We read about this a lot, and I hear about these sorts of articles quite a lot, of schools, kicking out a child because they wore a Union Jack dress. I'm sure you've seen that story. Kids who are being taught. I had a very disturbed parent on the show last weekend whose child was given books about how they should be ashamed to be white. Is there a creep of this sort of anti-whiteness, anti-Britishness in schools?
I don't think it's a widespread issue. I think, there may be pockets here and there, which is not on. It's disgraceful. It shouldn't be happening. And in fact, teachers who have got biased opinions in the classroom really shouldn't be teaching, and they can get struck off by the Teacher Regulation Agency. I mean, in a school like mine, I have over 44 nationalities, and it always has been a place where people are proud to be British, and that people from all over the world come here to experience our British culture. It's down to the head teacher in the school to ensure that those values are instilled right through our curriculum, and that children have the right to be proud to be British.
Dr. Kisley, you've been a leading voice on this issue. What have you seen that worries you?
First of all, hi Alex, it's great to see you. Well, I've been in the education sector for over 25 years now, and I've spent quite a lot of time. I lectured for 18 years, and I spent quite a lot of time going into schools, taking students into schools to work with pupils. And I think what's happened certainly over the last 10, 15 years, the decolonizing fervor, the decentering, the sense of removing Britain from the center of global narratives has just gone on steroids, and it's much worse, I think, than just the kind of removal. There's a kind of pathologizing of our history. There's a pathologizing of our culture, and I think that it's kind of linked to just bad practice in education. So students are failing in terms of criticality, research, understanding context, transferable skills, certainly subject skills, and very basic things like data collection. So they're just being let down really by the system, and it almost feels as though there's a process of indoctrination going on here, and I don't think it's generally the schools specifically. It's very much the system itself. So it's very much about teacher training colleges. It's very much about the culture in universities where all of the subject stuff comes down from, and it's about the kinds of people. I think we've talked about this on this show before. before, actually. It's the kinds of people who are going into the classroom. If the teacher has got, green hair, is festooned in rainbow flags, is obsessed with race and critical race theory, then white children in particular are going to get the rough end of that. And we know for a fact that white working class boys in particular are failing at school. And there's a very definite reason,
Yeah, Christine, how do we tackle this? This book I was talking about, I've just managed to find it. I couldn't remind myself of it, but it's called The Hate You Give, and there's another book accompanying it that is actually on the curriculum. Is there an issue with the curriculum? Is there an attempt by politicians to maybe frame some of the issues here in a racial theme, and therefore play down and demoralise our young people about British culture?
I think there'll always be opportunists who will try to get a point across in life. I really do. Now, if you look at the curriculum, it hasn't really changed much since 1988. There's other reasons why that hasn't changed, and there should be reform for the curriculum, because look, since then, we've got the internet, we've got AI now. We have to teach children to seek the truth and not what they're necessarily finding, because it is terribly biased out there. So our job as teachers is to make sure that the children have the skills to find the truth. There is no place in the classroom at all for people who come in with their own views and bias and teach the children how they think that children should be thinking and what's going on in the world. We as educators have to search and teach the children to seek the truth themselves.
How do concerned parents raise that issue with you? For example, if that happened at your school, parent came to you and said, "Look, there's a teacher here who I think's pushing an ideology onto my kids." What happens next?
Well, they wouldn't be there in the morning. Full stop.
Got it. And Dr. Kisley, are you hopeful? Because of course we've got a curriculum review being headed up by the Education Secretary. Are you hopeful there'll be some less wokeness, perhaps is maybe the right word to use? I know there's a bit of a broad spectrum wokeness, but perhaps a little bit more of a play onto our actual positive elements of our culture, or do you expect it to be the exact opposite?
I expect it to be the exact opposite, because I know who will be running the review. So we might as well just forget that. And this is a political response to reform surging in the polls. It's little more than that. So I think we can forget about that. I think we have to look longer term, and I think there are a couple of things, Alex. Okay, I think we have to completely get rid, dump this obsession with race, gender, and sexuality that just infects every single subject, from maths to English literature. Okay, I think there needs to be an objective view of history that needs to come. Okay, yes. And I think the whole idea that the narratives that infest everything, which is the post-colonial narrative and the anti-Western narrative and the anti-capitalist narratives, which are just all over our education system, they need to go, because they're political, they're not educational.
Dr. Philip Kisley, thank you very much. Christine, just very, very briefly, are you concerned about changes to the curriculum?
I am, because I think the very people who should be forging that curriculum are the people who are on the ground floor, who actually see what children are being taught and what we need for the future. We're not seeing any evidence that this is going to move in the right way, and our education system is plummeting to the bottom of the pile, where you see other countries that have been behind in the past now taking over. And it's about time we sharpened up our pencils, literally, and had a curriculum that's fit for purpose.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you both so much for joining me. That's cultural historian and academic Dr. Philip Kisley, brilliant as ever. And thank you so much for joining me for the first time, head teacher of LVS Ascot, Christine Cunniff. Brilliant, both of you. Thank you very, very much. Well, coming up, Prince William has spoke of his excitement to introduce changes which would modernise the monarchy. But next,
I was taken to a street to meet a woman who I was told had strong views on immigration. I knocked on the door. She invited me in. We had a cup of tea and a rich tea biscuit.
Oh, I can't wait for this interview. A TV exclusive for you. Sir Keir Starmer revealed that a visit to a voter's home in Oldham a decade ago made him realise his party had got it wrong on immigration. Trust me, you will not want to miss this one. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some very heavy rain across Croatia this weekend and some more heavy downpours likely in southern Italy as well. Generally fine with sunny spells, a bit of a breeze blowing across the Canaries. Sunshine too for the Algarve. Small chance of a shower if you're heading to Barcelona. Certainly some heavy showers over southern Italy and those bright colours there suggesting some very heavy rain for Croatia. That should be clearing away as we head into the new working week. So Dubrovnik turning sunnier again for Tuesday. Goodbye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After a pretty windy day on Saturday, the winds are going to slowly ease as we go through the course of tonight, but there will still be some damaging gusts of wind, particularly across northern parts of Scotland, and that's courtesy of Storm Amy that's only very slowly drifting away towards Norway, and those isobars remain pretty tightly packed together as we go into Sunday. So some very windy conditions overnight tonight, particularly for northern Scotland. Otherwise the winds will ease down somewhat, but it will still stay fairly blustery around western coasts. A lot of the showers though becoming confined to the west, eastern and southern areas turning dry with clear spells, and temperatures staying up in the high single figures for most of us, so a frost-free night to come. Now Sunday promises to be generally a bit brighter and drier for many of us, and we'll even begin with some sunshine across northern parts of Scotland. But it will still be very windy. A wind warning still in place until midday, and still the potential for gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour across the Northern Isles and northeast Scotland. Pretty blustery with some fairly frequent showers moving in through the Irish Sea into parts of northwest England, Wales and the southwest. Further south and east though across England, many places starting the day dry with some sunshine, and even though the cloud will bubble up as we go through the course of the day, many eastern and southern areas will stay largely dry on Sunday, and it won't be as chilly or as windy as it was on Saturday. Temperatures up by a degree or two, so feeling a bit more pleasant in that sunshine compared to earlier on in the weekend. Although fairly cloudy and damp through the afternoon across western parts of Scotland with some fairly persistent rain coming into the west. And that rain will still be around as we go into Monday as well. And through the day, we'll see the wind strengthening once again with coastal gales developing for northwestern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, fairly warm and pleasant for the northeast of Scotland, Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales having a fine day on Monday with some sunny spells. Temperatures will also be above average, and that will continue through the week ahead. Plenty of fine weather in the south, wetter in the north.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, you've been waiting for this one, haven't you? It's a TV exclusive for you here. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, revealed this week that a visit to the home of a voter in Oldham a decade earlier had made him realise that his party had got it wrong on immigration. Pensioner Joyce Todd warned the then future Prime Minister that uncontrolled immigration was having a negative effect on her neighbourhood, with fly tipping and drug dealing changing her street beyond recognition. And explaining this back in 2015, she said she felt the need to prove that she was not racist. Mrs Todd, a lifelong Labour supporter, had been thrust into the public eye since the Labour Party conference last week. She admitted she will never vote for the party again, adding she doesn't believe a word the Prime Minister says. I think Joyce, who is joining me now, Joyce, fantastic to have you. I think you are a representative of many people across this country, Joyce, and thank you so much for coming on to GB News to talk to us, because of course it's all about hearing the voices of people up and down this country, and that's what we're here to do. Joyce, why did you start by telling me what it was like to have the now Prime Minister in your home?
Well, it was quite an honour, actually, to be honest, at first, and the conversation went all right. And it was quite amiable to start with, until I was accused of that he said he thought I was racist, and then that really upset me, because I am anything but racist. So I kindly asked him to leave the home.
Did you really? Wow.
Yes.
You kicked him out?
Home, not his.
You kicked Keir Starmer out of your home?
Yes.
Good for you. I think he's been kicked out of a pub before. I've never heard him being kicked out of someone's home. So he accused you of being racist in your home, did he?
He said he suggested I was racist, yes, over things that I was saying. He suggested I was racist.
Because you were... Is that because you were concerned about immigration in your local area?
Yes, very much so.
That's shocking. So the Prime Minister, who's now decided to get tough on immigration, what do you make of that, Joyce? Do you think it's really genuine?
No, I don't believe the word that comes out of his mouth. I'm sorry. I really do not. And the way that he described coming into my home to start with wasn't correct. So if he tells what I would class as lies about that, then his policies will probably be lies.
Indeed. So, Joyce, you've been a lifelong Labour voter, right? That's what you've said.
Yes.
Yeah. Why would you go now? What's the future for you? And who do you think is going to solve the crisis in our country?
I actually don't think the crisis in the country can be solved very quickly, but I do think it can be solved. And I think we need someone like a Reform Party. At the end of the day, for years on end, we've had Tories, we've had Labour. So why not give someone else a change? Let's have some new blood in this country. We need it.
And who would that be, do you think, Joyce?
Nigel Farage and Reform.
Do you think that's do you speak to many people in your area that share that sentiment with you?
Many people in my area share that sentiment. And many people in Oldham Town Centre share that sentiment too. And Labour has nearly always held Oldham, always been a red wall, but I don't think it will be this next time.
Interesting stuff, Joyce. And has your area continued to change since you spoke to the now Prime Minister Keir Starmer all the way back in 2015, for the better or worse?
It's gone worse, not better.
What's worse about it?
Well, in the first place, the majority of I have lots of Asian neighbours who I'm very friendly with, but we have a lot of Eastern Europeans that moved into the area. They have no respect for the area. They play football in the street until 2 o'clock in the morning when people have to get up and go to work, because obviously they don't work. They dump rubbish everywhere. Quite often the council come round and clean up. Within 5 minutes it's back again. Mainly mattresses and things like that. So to my thing, you know, it seems that they sleep on mattresses all the time, which we do, but I think they sleep on the floor. They have the sunflower seeds. They constantly spit the cases onto the floor. We look as if we have white carpets on our streets because there are that many of them. They crowd together, and I'm not intimidated. I'm not a person to be intimidated. But quite a lot of people, especially ladies around here, won't walk down the street when they gather together in, 15, 20 men outside one shop, and they don't want to move for you. They don't want to integrate with us. They don't want to do anything of our culture. They just want to keep to their own culture. But if I went to live in another country, I would have to accept their cultures, I'm afraid.
Absolutely right, Joyce. And nothing you said was racist. These are genuine concerns people up and down the country have had. And I'm ashamed that the Prime Minister would call you racist. I'm ashamed of that. I'm ashamed that a politician in this country would stoop to that level, particularly in someone else's home, or at least allude to it. Do you think multiculturalism's failed in Britain?
Yes, I do, actually. I think it's failed a great deal.
And what can we do to remedy this situation? And what would be the #1 policy you'd like to see happen in Britain?
The #1 policy is that I think multiculturalism can succeed, but it's got to be with legal people, not illegal people. We need to stop the illegal people coming into our country. At the end of the day, we are just the laughingstock of the world. We're the land of milk and honey. It's a gravy train for a lot of people. And yet our own people that have fought in the war, that have gone out to Afghanistan and fought out there, can't get a penny. So why should all these other people get all this money and all the benefits? It's totally wrong.
And Joyce, just to go back to something you were talking to me about earlier, because you said people in your area, of course, share your opinion that it's got worse and worse and worse in Oldham. Has there any of them felt tempted to leave?
I think quite a lot. Of course, quite a lot of us might want to leave. But the way that the area has gone and all these immigrants that are now in the area, I'm afraid we won't get the money for our property anymore. And many of us have spent a lot of money on our property. And you don't buy property to lose money on it. You buy it to try and make money on it and have a comfortable life out of it.
Indeed. Joyce Todd, thank you so much for joining me. A former lifelong Labour supporter there who met the now Prime Minister all the way back in 2015. Bombshell stuff there, calling you a racist in your own home. It's despicable stuff. Joyce, thank you so much for joining me. I want to bring Paul Richards here. He's sitting next to me. He's been listening into some of that commentary there. So just to give you, if you couldn't hear all of it, Paul, but, you know, Joyce said that the Prime Minister essentially alluded to her being a racist in her own home. She kicked him out of her house, which I would rightfully do if someone said that to me in my house. Do you think the Prime Minister's got something to answer for there?
Well, I thought it was quite interesting that he even mentioned it in his great big speech at all, because, I mean, I've written plenty of these, and what you do is if you're mentioning anyone, you check with them first and you'd make sure that they're happy to be mentioned. I mean, he wasn't mentioned by name, but I believe the Manchester Evening News kind of tracked her down in Hathershaw, which is a part of Oldham, and got the story out. But anyway, I suppose all I'd say is I'm sorry we've lost her vote. It sounds like she's not coming back to the Labour column anytime soon.
Her and many millions of others as well. What I'd like to have asked Joyce is how does she feel about the fact that 2,213 illegal migrants entered the UK this week in 33 dinghies. How's smashing the gangs going, Paul?
Well, listen, gents, I'd love to find out the answer, but we will, because we've got a lot more to talk about. We've just run out of time. Very keen.
I should say very quickly that I believe, because I listened to the Keir Starmer speech in its entirety, that actually she was at pains to say that she had been to her neighbour's wedding, and her neighbour was Asian, and she'd been to a full-scale Asian wedding in an attempt to show him that she was not racist.
Well, there you go.
Went into the conversation as well.
There you go. And listen, I know the government, for a bit of balance here, they would say that immigration is the lifeblood. Perhaps they'd say this is the lifeblood of the country and that it's good for Britain and that actually we all just need to get on with it and stop moaning and it's lovely economic growth with it. That's what they would say, perhaps. Anyway, coming up, exclusive interview footage from London protests today.
It's not legal, then it's wrong.
By mocking people, you make a strong argument. That's all you guys deserve.
Yeah, these people are completely unhinged. Trust me, more of that. But next, Prince William is going to reform the royals, apparently. We'll see you shortly.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello, everyone. Patrick Christie's here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in, and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. In a recent interview, Prince William spoke of his excitement to introduce changes which would modernise the monarchy. Experts have predicted that Prince William will simplify royal protocols, including scaling back elaborate traditions like bowing and curtsying and streamlining the royal household. But what changes can we reasonably expect? And joining me now to discuss this is royal historian Alexander Larman. Alexander, thank you so much for joining me. Yes, always a lot of speculation about these things, isn't there? But never anything concrete. But do we expect Prince William to be a radical king?
Hi, Alex. Well, I mean, I suppose that he's under pressure to make a lot of changes. But of course, the thing about William is that he is his own man and that he knows that now is not the time to go and do something which is going to be seen as, heroic. He wants to be, it's a slow process. He wants to be doing stuff bit by bit. It's very incremental. I mean, he is not somebody who is an innovator. I mean, we've always known about William that he's a conservative like his father. He's somebody who's always tried to do things in relatively small bursts. And of course, the fact that he was interviewed by Eugene Levy is really, really surprising because obviously we think of Eugene Levy as the actor from Schitt's Creek and is that how you pronounce it? Schitt's Creek and American Pie. And the fact that he's given his most revelatory interview ever to this man. I mean, you'd have thought it was as likely as life on Mars.
I have to admit, I was really surprised to see that as well, Alexander.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, it's just so strange because we see William as being different to his father. We see him as being different to Harry as well. We see him as being somebody who's ultimately the safest pair of hands imaginable. But, I mean, ultimately, it's very difficult in this environment to know exactly what's going to happen when somebody like William is going and making public speeches because we do not know what he plans for his inception of the monarchy, because ultimately it'll be a very different kind of monarchy to what his father's doing. It'll be much less tradition-based, and it'll be much more something that he sees personally, because Charles obviously is...
Well, is removing something like curtsying and bowing, I'd hate to lose that. I think that's a beautiful part of the tradition. Do you think those are on the cards?
Well, the thing for me, Alex, is that when I saw Penny Mordaunt walking around with her sword at the coronation, I thought to myself, what a very strange country we are. Because ultimately, I'm with Monty Python of the Holy Grail about this. It's that strange women holding swords should not be the basis of government. And I think that William can see this and think it's somehow rather bizarre that we have this idea.
Look, Alexander, I'm so sorry. I would love for you to come back on my show, actually, because I'd love to talk to you more in more detail of this. We've just completely run out of time. But thank you so much for joining me. I would hate to lose those traditions, I have to say. I would really, really hate to lose them. But anyway, coming up, Kemi Badenoch has had an epiphany. But first...
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After a pretty windy day on Saturday, the winds are going to slowly ease as we go through the course of tonight, but there will still be some damaging gusts of wind, particularly across northern parts of Scotland, and that's courtesy of Storm Amy that's only very slowly drifting away towards Norway, and those isobars remain pretty tightly packed together as we go into Sunday. So some very windy conditions overnight tonight, particularly for northern Scotland. Otherwise, the winds will ease down somewhat, but it will still stay fairly blustery around western coasts. A lot of the showers, though, becoming confined to the west, eastern and southern areas turning dry with clear spells, and temperatures staying up in the high single figures for most of us, so a frost-free night to come. Now, Sunday promises to be generally a bit brighter and drier for many of us, and will even begin with some sunshine across northern parts of Scotland. But it will still be very windy. A wind warning still in place until midday, and still the potential for gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour across the Northern Isles and North East Scotland. Pretty blustery with some fairly frequent showers moving in through the Irish Sea into parts of northwest England, Wales and the southwest. Further south and east, though, across England, many places starting the day dry with some sunshine, and even though the cloud will bubble up as we go through the course of the day, many eastern and southern areas will stay largely dry on Sunday, and it won't be as chilly or as windy as it was on Saturday. Temperatures up by a degree or two, so feeling a bit more pleasant in that sunshine compared to earlier on in the weekend, although fairly cloudy and damp through the afternoon across western parts of Scotland with some fairly persistent rain coming into the west. And that rain will still be around as we go into Monday as well. And through the day, we'll see the wind strengthening once again with coastal gales developing for northwestern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, fairly warm and pleasant for the northeast of Scotland, Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales, having a fine day on Monday with some sunny spells. Temperatures will also be above average, and that will continue through the week ahead. Plenty of fine weather in the south, wetter in the north.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
It's 10 p.m, isn't it? I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight.
Genocide.
A terrorist attack
Israel is committing genocide.
There was a terrorist attack in
Israel is committing genocide.
Do you understand
there is
why?
a live genocide.
Do you understand
there
why?
There is a live genocide.
Yeah, those far-left thugs are not going to make me cower from doing my job. I've got exclusive footage from those London protests today, and...
Far right, that's all you do.
Why am I
you
far
ain't
right?
even got
What
real
makes me
sources.
far right?
I know you're far right.
What makes me far right?
No, you're far
If
right.
you're going to call someone far
Darling,
right...
you're far right.
Why am I...
Funny that, they keep calling me far right, but when I ask them what it means, they just can't define it. All I was doing was asking questions. Also...
Shame on you! Shame on you! Go to Palestine!
Of all the people, Prime Minister Keir Starmer rolled out David Lammy to speak at the Manchester terrorist attack vigil yesterday. I don't know about you, but this government's response feels utterly hollow, weak and, well, just pretty pitiful, really. And...
The only way we've concluded that we can control our country's borders and restore parliamentary sovereignty so the public actually get what they vote for is by leaving the ECHR. And we've got a plan to do that. We've thought it through properly, unlike reform, and that is what we're announcing today.
It's the eve of Tory party conference. Who, you ask? Well, their leader, Kemi Badenoch, has had an epiphany. 337 days into her leadership, she's finally said that the Tories would leave the ECHR if they form the next government. That's a big if, isn't it? Also...
Eugene, good morning. Your Royal Highness.
It's not quite the entrance you expect from a future king, is it? Will Prince William reform the monarchy? And in a surprise visit to Europe in her first in a two years' time at least, Meghan Markle has been spotted at an evening in Paris for Fashion Week. No sign of her husband, Prince Harry, though. And... breaking tonight on the front page of The Express and The Telegraph, Kemi Badenoch's secure UK borders plan will include a US-style removal force that they say will deport 150,000 illegal migrants a year. And joining me to discuss all of this big news tonight is former Labour Party advisor Paul Richards, journalist and broadcaster Linda Jubilee, and former Met Police detective Peter Blexley. And international pop star Taylor Swift's released a new album.
Her name was Kitty, made her money being pretty and witty. They gave her the keys to this city.
And she also showed off some new hardware on Graham Norton last night.
And there's a lot to congratulate Taylor Swift about, but the one that I feel I ought to congratulate is the new bit of finger jewellery.
The hardware upgrade?
Yes! Check it out!
Well, good evening, everybody. As you might know, today I've got exclusive footage to show you. The British people will not be cowed by acts of intimidation by the far left on our streets.
Can you understand why people might think this is inappropriate, given that there was a terrorist attack 2 days ago and this is a prescribed terrorist organisation?
However, Israel is committing genocide.
But there was a terrorist attack in Manchester.
Israel is committing genocide.
A terrorist attack
Israel is committing genocide.
There was a terrorist attack in Manchester.
Israel is committing genocide.
Do you understand
there is a live genocide.
Do you understand
there
why?
There is a live genocide.
Do you understand why people might...
Will not allow you to.
Well, it's free speech in this country.
Do
you not like free speech?
Far right, that's all you
Why
do.
am I
you
far
ain't
right?
even got
What
real
makes me
sources.
far right?
I know you're far right.
What makes me far right?
No, you're far
If
right.
you're going to call someone far
Darling,
right,
you're far right.
Why am I far
You're
right?
not even a journalist.
Why am I far
You're
right?
not even a journalist. You're a failure to journalism. Darling, I could be a better journalist than you, okay?
Well, what makes me far right then?
I don't need to prove it because you know it.
Tell me what does
Because you
far
get
right
paid,
mean?
darling.
What
You
does
get
far
paid
right
by
mean?
the rich
What
man
does
to
far
be.
right mean? Can you define far right?
I don't need to define something to you. I don't need to define it to you.
Okay, they are literally having to drag them. I can't get a good view of them here, but there's a lot of police to make one arrest. It's a lot of police to arrest one person, isn't it?
I'm not going to be cowed by some intimidatory acts by the far left, and neither is going to stop me from doing my job. And if they think their comments get under my skin, trust me, I've had far, far worse than that thrown at me before, as many of you at home probably have seen on this channel. And the whole reason GB News goes to these protests is to hear from real people, no matter their politics. This is what fearless journalism is all about.
Holocaust survivor says, stop the genocide in Gaza. Why have you been compelled to come here today?
I've been compelled to come here today because what I see the Israeli regime is doing in Gaza has horrifying echoes of elements of what happened to my family and millions of others during the Holocaust. And I think, as somebody of Jewish descent, I find it profoundly dangerous and a profound lie to equate supporting the people of Palestine and opposing a genocide with being anti-Semitic. It's the absolute opposite. And I think that it's incredibly important to make that clear. And by standing against the genocide in Gaza, that is no way that is supporting racist attacks and murders in this country. It's the same fight.
These people are here opposing genocide, telling us that protesting against genocide is a bad thing. What happened a few days ago is a horrible thing. What's happening in Palestine is also a horrible thing. I feel like trying to put those two together and saying these people shouldn't be out here having this say about genocide.
On the night of the terror attack, though, where march is still going ahead, do you think there should have been at least a break in the protests in order to let people breathe a little bit?
Well, my understanding was those particular protests were for the flotilla that was trying to deliver peaceful aid to Gaza. So again, I feel like those people had a right to go out there and say what was happening at that flotilla was against international law.
And these people who are sitting here, not like you noisy guy, they're sitting there in silence, holding placards,
Yes.
and they are being arrested by the police and charged as terrorists. Now, do they look like terrorists to you?
I'm not that bothered about the Israel-Palestine issue. I think both are just as bad as each other, to be honest. But I'm here because I don't think Palestine Action are a terrorist organisation. And I'm appalled that the police are here arresting peaceful protesters when they could be out actually protecting the public from real crime. Incredibly disappointed with the Home Secretary. She's a hypocrite. She's been out on protests like this and is now ordering the police to go and arrest people in wheelchairs and arrest people just for holding a sign.
The government has said that it's recognised Palestine as a state. It's doing everything it says in its power to stop that. What would you like to see happen?
Our government is still supplying armaments to Israel to carry out genocide. It's flying spy missions over Gaza and providing their military with information. It is actively supporting what is going on over there.
Okay.
So I just think it's just a sort of bit of whitewash saying, oh yeah, but the kind of state of Palestine they want is one where the Palestinians won't have any say in what happens to them. It's going to be a sort of neo-colonial thing.
What do you make of Tony Blair? What do you make of Tony Blair being put in charge?
It's terrible, of all people, to be allowed anywhere near them. I think, haven't they suffered enough?
Excuse me, would you be willing to tell me why you're here today?
This is my message. I'm just the messenger.
And it says, on the road to tyranny in Starmer's Britain, which prosecutes those who peacefully protest at the mass slaughter of maiming of Palestinians, their children and babies, prescription by a war crimes complicit government. Do you think the Prime Minister's done a good job protecting free speech in Britain?
I'd rather confine my message to this, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Thank you for looking at it.
No problem at all. That's what we're here to do. Thank you.
Indeed. Well, there were concerned British people there who didn't think these protests should be going ahead, and we heard from them too.
Protesting, because I'm assuming you're counter-protesting.
No, I'm not even counter-protesting. I've just come down here because I knew all these would be here, and as a mark of respect, they should have cancelled all this. They should have cancelled it, but I know they wouldn't cancel it. So I just thought I'll come here and add my 2 pence in.
I've just come round just to get a little bit of footage to see what's going on, but this shouldn't be happening today.
Yeah, there's many people saying that this is an anti-Semitic march, that actually they shouldn't be here after what happened on Thursday with the Manchester terror attack. What do you make of that?
Well, there's a time and a place for it, isn't there? You know, I mean, there's a couple of people here, like anti-demonstrators that I've been talking to there. They're showing their, you know, this. I've just come here just to have a look, because I only live about 3 miles away. Yeah. And I just think it's wrong. I just think it's wrong.
Do you think these are anti-Semitic, these marches?
I do, yeah. Yeah. I do. And especially today, it's after what's happened a few days ago, it shouldn't be happening. Yeah. It shouldn't be happening. There should be a bit of sensitivity.
Do you think the Home Secretary's been strong enough on this issue? She, of course, said to people to not come to the protest here. Many people have pushed back on that. Of course, hundreds of people here today counter-protesting that. There's other Palestine protest rallies going on.
It just shows how weak the government are. It really does show how weak this government is. If they want to ban this march, they could quite easily. If they wanted to stop it, they could.
Do you think it should have been banned this weekend?
Yeah. Well, not banned, just out of respect, cancelled. Cancelled, just out of respect.
I've come here to laugh at this nonsense, to be honest. I mean, they've just got no arguments.
Yeah, and do you feel that people should be allowed to come and have these sorts of debates? Of course, the police are arresting people. What do you make of those arrests?
Well, they're breaking the law, so they're going to get arrested.
If it's not legal, then it's wrong.
By mocking people, you make a strong argument?
That's all you guys deserve.
Yeah, there's nothing else I can say, really, is there?
No. What do you make of the Home Secretary and others who have said people shouldn't come to these events given the terror attack that happened a couple of days ago? What do you make of those comments from the Home Secretary?
I mean, given that some of them are here deliberately breaking the law, they should have probably banned it.
Yeah, don't break the law. Don't break the law, guys. Don't break the law.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think some of those people summarise my experience at the Palestine Action protest today. But after the protest at Trafalgar Square was dispersed, it appears many continued unplanned into Whitehall. Well, there you have it. That was my experience today at Palestine Action. And I'll start with, I've got my fantastic panel here. Paul Richards, former Labour Party advisor, journalist and broadcaster. Linda Jubilee and former Met Police detective Peter Blexley. Paul, I'll start with you. Massive condemnation of the government there today, of course, and of Keir Starmer. It seems to me that they're not really pleasing anyone with the action they're taking on this. They're not outright banning these hate marches, which I think they are hate marches. They're also not doing enough to appease the Palestinian Action Group and the people pro-Gaza. So what's the government's plan here?
Well, the big answer to that is we're supporting the peace process internationally, and we're looking at the peace deal that's on the table, which is why I would question people's motives for turning up today, because we're on the brink of a deal that may give a real sense of hope to that region after decades, getting the hostages home, which is the most important thing, and securing some sort of lasting peace, alongside maybe the prospect of a Palestinian state, which is what all of these people have been demanding for so long. But the people on this demo, let's be absolutely clear, they have gone along there deliberately in the face of people pleading them not to from across the community. They could support the other Palestinian organisations, but they don't. They've decided to support one that's been prescribed. They want to get arrested. They applaud each other when they are being arrested and carted off. It's performative, it's narcissistic, and it doesn't help the Palestinians one jot.
Yeah, Linda, what your thoughts after watching that footage too?
Well, I mean, I'm going to repeat something I said earlier, that really all these people should have been showing respect to those who have been who suffered terribly over recent days. It would have been a sign of respect, but also it would have been such a dignified thing to do if they had spontaneously decided not to go on these demonstrations. But I wonder whether I'm alone in thinking that people here are heartily fed up with all of these imported conflicts coming onto our streets every single week. I mean, Peter can tell us more about this, but I gather the police are becoming exhausted with these weekly missions in trying to actually contain these situations, make sure there's no inflammatory outbursts, and make these hundreds and hundreds of arrests that they have to process so thoroughly. It's a ridiculous waste of time and money.
You are not alone.
So
Trust me, Linda, you are not alone in feeling that way. I have been saying that for a very long time.
It's costing the city millions. It's costing London millions.
And police that should be going to solve crime in our city, and of course they're there having to arrest those spoilt brats who think it's more appropriate for them to sit down because they think it's some sort of form of protest when it realistically isn't. Peter, I obviously want to come to you and talk about this entire event because these are now, as Linda highlighted, going on all the time. The disgusting ones that happened on Thursday, I think, were the worst people who would do that. Really terrible people. How much, in your experience, would this really take up police resources?
It's huge. The numbers of officers required. We've seen them when it's 5 minimum to carry someone away, and then they cordon those officers if they think there's going to be some effort to try and rip that person from lawful custody. In other words, try and snatch them away from the police. So this week, the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary and the Commissioner of the Met and people like Robert Jenrick all asked for this protest to not go ahead because they wanted those additional police resources to be protecting synagogues, for example, and other places of worship. That was the plan. A mate of mine messaged me just after 7 o'clock tonight. He said his synagogue had no protection whatsoever, and that was in Barnet. So, quite possibly, the officers that the Met hoped to deploy were not deployed because they had to be in Trafalgar Square to deal with those cretins. Palestine action has been prescribed since the 5th of July. They all know it. And I think thus far the Met are dealing with these protests commendably.
I'd actually agree with you. I think they've done. I mean, seeing them operate today was a work of art. Actually, the way they moved, the way they spotted people that were genuinely holding up pro-Palestine action signs. But I just want to ask you, because the Home Secretary, and I was just sort of saying this to Paul, not pleasing anybody here, not pleasing the people who want these hate marches to end, not pleasing the pro-Gaza group who, of course, want I don't know, for the government to go to war with Israel, perhaps, or to end armaments to Israel, or to do something more radical. Is the Home Secretary just being utterly weak on this?
But we have to remember the importance of the right to protest.
Absolutely agree.
We've got to remember that is one of the jewels in our constitutional crown, so to speak. So just because we don't like the people who are protesting is not necessarily a reason to ban it. Just because we don't sympathise with their cause is not a reason to ban it. It would require different legislation, because legislation as to protest marches and legislation for static protests are actually different.
But on marches, Peter, surely we can start saying, well, OK, you can go on your demo, but you don't have to block off Whitehall, Westminster Bridge, Trafalgar Square, you know, the places where people want, you go to Hyde Park or go to go to Kennington Park. Why does it have to go through the centre of London
they're the conditions,
and bring the city to a halt?
Invariably, those conditions are laid down by the Met and they're agreed with the organisers. Right. That, in essence, is what happens.
I also want to say that this has all these protests have become very regimented. They happen every single week.
It's a day out, isn't it?
Everyone has a day out. Everyone protests. So many of those people actually are badly informed about the political situation in the Middle East anyway. Certainly that woman that was going on about neo-colonialism was way wide of the mark. But what really distresses me sometimes is, as a society, we are facing profound and wide-reaching problems that will affect my children and my children's children, and all the time we're wasting time and resources and money on this. We are not addressing those problems.
And if those elderly people with the placards are sitting on the ground in January and February at those kind of protests, there's going to be a swift outbreak of hemorrhoids, let me tell you.
I'm glad you cheered me up there a bit, Peter. But what really wound me up today, and I don't really get wound up about these things, is that you can see there's people there who are trying to intimidate people, and you cannot cry my free speech, my free rights, my rights to do this, when you're literally giving no respect to anyone else to do that. I wasn't asking intimidatory questions. I was asking them important questions that you people at home, everyone watching, and people who will see this on the internet want the answers to. That is my job. My job is to go there and ask questions, not to intimidate them. And when I'm shouted down and I'm abused by these people, they're trying to get underneath my skin and stopping me from doing my job, it really shows them for what they are. And I think most of them are there for attention-seeking. Most of them think they're the next Gandhi, unfortunately, but I don't think they will be. Anyway, moving on. There's plenty of time to enter our Great British Giveaway as your chance to win 30 grand in tax-free cash and a brand new 4-berth motorhome. Here's all the details.
This is your chance to win a motorhome and cash in our biggest giveaway to date. Courtesy of Marquis Leisure, you could be the proud owner of this 2025 Benamar Primero. It comfortably accommodates 4 people, comes with integrated bathroom and kitchen areas, has plenty of storage and can be driven on your standard driving licence. Plus, you'll also bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend on anything you like, taking the total prize value of this Great British Giveaway over a whopping £104,000. Make sure you don't miss out. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrants must be 18 or over. Blinds close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Well, good luck, everybody. Coming up, tomorrow's front pages are dropping as we speak. On the front page of the Express and the Telegraph, Kemi Badenoch's secure UK borders plan will include a US style removal force that will deport 150,000 illegal migrants a year. But next...
The only way we've concluded that we can control our country's borders and restore parliamentary sovereignty so the public actually get what they vote for is by leaving the ECHR. We've got a plan to do that. We've thought it through properly, unlike reform, and that is what we're announcing today.
Got there in the end. Got there in the end, eh, guys? Well done. Tories now backing the ECHR, leaving the ECHR. We'll have all of that and more. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Are you panicking when you're in Northern Ireland when you go out and about because there is a lack of chargers?
Well, listen, I'm really pro-EV, and we've had the odd issue with broken EV chargers, particularly yesterday at both Ballymoney at Beasties and also over at Dunsily. We had issues with chargers, but the charging infrastructure is used very rarely. My mother, for example, she has overnight charging at home. She's never used a public charger, and she's had the car for 3 years. Yeah. So if you've got that domestic overnight charging, it's cheap. It's very affordable if you buy a 2-year-old EV, and they are absolutely the way forward. I'm a Yorkshireman. I don't like parting with my brass. I want to get cheap motoring, and for less than a penny a mile and a car for less than 20 grand to start with, you know, it sounds a bit blasé saying £20,000, but relative to what these cars are new, they're incredible value for money, and we're seeing mass adoption. There's a garage in Richmond in North Yorkshire that sells more than half of the cars they sell are electric vehicles, and that's in a rural Dales area. So it's about having that domestic overnight charging and not having to rely on public infrastructure.
Danny, where it doesn't convince me at all is, right, so I'm living in London and I want to go to see Manchester United, and I might get there, but am I going to get back down again? Or worse still, if I'm not on full charge, I'm going to miss kickoff because I'm going to have to rely on a public charger somewhere. So is that the sort of anxiety? I mean, you were talking about range anxiety there, Ellie. Is that the sort of anxiety people have? I mean, I genuinely have that. despite what we were hearing there from Fraser.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, leader of the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch, has had an epiphany. The Tories are finally listening to the voters, and they have announced that the Tories would take Britain out of the European Convention on Human Rights if they win the next election. Making the announcement ahead of party conference starting tomorrow, Ms Badenoch says she has not come to this decision lightly, but says it is clear that it's necessary to protect our borders, our veterans and our citizens. Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp responded to reports this morning of more Tory defections to Reform UK.
Well, I would say they're wrong. I'd say don't do it. I'd say show some patience. Look, Reform is essentially, they've got good slogans, I'll give them that, but these slogans are written on the back of a fag packet in a pub. They don't stand up to any serious scrutiny. They don't have any detail behind them. We saw that announcement, was it a week or so ago, where Nigel Farage fell apart within like a few minutes of questioning because he hadn't got his facts straight on European Union citizens. Reform is essentially a one-man party. There is only room for Nigel Farage in that party, and any Conservatives who join it will pretty soon discover that.
There we go. We're now joined by James Hill, who is the Deputy Political Editor of The Spectator. James, lovely to see you as ever. What do we know about this policy? Of course, we know this is going to be the staple, I believe, the staple policy of Kemi Badenoch at this party conference. Of course, it seems they want to take the fight to Reform UK, from the words of the Shadow Home Secretary there, Chris Philp. What do you make of this policy announcement?
Well, Alex, it's certainly been a long time coming. I think that we were expecting this really for about sort of 6 months or so across the summer. What we've had now is the conclusion of a month-long report by Lord Wolfson, respected barrister, and the Shadow Attorney General in the House of Lords, and he's concluded that actually there are no barriers to leaving the European Court of Human Rights, leaving the European Convention, in terms of the Good Friday Agreement, which was previously the big sticking plaster. And what we're going to see now is tomorrow Kemi Badenoch will do a big speech talking about how that would apply in reality and suggesting that actually the party is with her on this one. The Shadow Cabinet have signed it off. People like Jessie Norman, who previously supported the ECHR, are all very much on board with her. And so really it's her attempt to say, look, we're serious on this. It's a big issue. A couple of the main major articles are stopping us from deporting people. And it's their way of showing that actually they have thought about the issues around immigration and deportation and are serious about them going forward.
Yes, Kemi Badenoch's been leader for 337 days, I believe. I might be a day or two out there, James. My mathematics isn't as good as it used to be. Is she dithering? Has she dithered on this issue? And has it hurt the Conservative Party that they allowed Reform UK to get ahead of them on this issue?
That is an interesting question. I think you talk to some people in the party, they'll say yes, they thought it took too long. Others will make the point that, of course, look, this is a huge issue. And one of the attractions of voting for Kemi Badenoch was that she was going to think through everything first. I think perhaps you talk to people who are in her team, some of them will say that maybe there's a sense that this is more about the attention economy than the battle of ideas. Actually, now that unlike any previous Conservative leader in opposition, she now has to face a rival on the right, which is something that I think some people perhaps underestimated in the summer of last year, but they'll be glad. I think most people in the party will be glad that they have reached this conclusion. And I think what's so striking, Alex, is how much the debate and the tenor has shifted over the past 18 months. A lot of the kind of, you want to call them wets, you want to call them One Nation Tories, people who back the ECHR, people like Alex Chalk, Victoria Prentice are no longer in the Commons. And I do think the party is more united than it seemed perhaps 12 months ago on the question of the ECHR. So we're interested to see if anyone's sounding off, but certainly the Shadow Cabinet are all giving the thumbs up to this plan tonight.
Yeah, indeed. I guess the question I'd ask you is that do you think the public are going to trust them on this issue? Of course, it has taken them a very long time to come to this conclusion, and many people will say, actually, one of the big flaws of Keir Starmer is it takes him so long to see the critical issues that are slapping the British public in the face, i.e. immigration, which he's now having to pivot on. And many people might look at Kemi Badenoch and go, well, if you were the Prime Minister, I'm going to vote for you, and you have this sort of dithering on these key issues, how can I possibly vote for you? We need a radical shift in the pace of politics, perhaps.
So that was the critique that someone like Reform UK will put forward, which is that actually, they have to have a whole parliamentary system and get this party through, and they have to consider a wide range of opinions, and that can paralyse good decision-making. I think to give Kevin Badenoch her due, they are trying to think through some serious issues. The Northern Ireland, of course, was famously a massive stumbling block for the 2 of the previous 5 Conservative Prime Ministers. So I do think it's worth having critical attention. I think on broader migration policy, it's quite interesting today, that splash as you were talking about just there now, Alex, about the Telegraph and the Express. What is the difference really between the Conservatives and Reform? I mean, Chris Philp there talking about credibility. Reform people I talked to would come back and point out that Chris Philp was one of the junior Home Office ministers during the time there was this record migration, and things such as the Home Office report suggesting that there wasn't any link between grooming gangs and ethnicity. So I think that it's all about a question about sort of who can last the course over the next 3, 4, 5 years or so. Right now, Reform are doing very well, but Kevin Badenoch will certainly be hoping that more kind of serious policy work like this will prove that she has the ability to last the distance, so that the tortoise can outlast the hare.
Interesting. Let's see, hey. While we're talking about the Tories, we can't avoid the topic of defections, which has been plaguing the party of late. Keith Prince today defected from the Conservative Party to the Tories, I believe a London Assembly member. Not a huge name. Most people would never have heard of the man, of course. But, of course, places like London, where they really do need to try and keep at least some of the Conservative members of the Greater London Assembly, a bit of a loss, perhaps, but maybe more to come?
I think there's going to be more defections, certainly. My understanding is that there's plenty of people who are in talk. And I think also, Alex, I mean, it's not just about the big name, of course. I mean, Danny Kruger came with a huge shock a few weeks ago, but it's also about the long-time activists. And Reform has a policy of going after hard-working council leaders across the country. Keith Prince was someone who's been a member for 49 years, knocked on thousands of doors. And as you say, given we've got those big elections in London, 2,000 seats up for grabs next May, they're going to need all the help they can to get the activist army out and ensure leaflets get delivered.
Yeah, indeed. I wonder if there's more to come over the next coming days. But never nice to see a defection on the eve of your party conference, is it? But there we go. That's how politics is, eh? James Hill, thank you so much for joining me, Deputy Political Editor there of The Spectator. Pleasure as ever. Well, coming up, Taylor Swift's new album's been released.
Her name was Kitty, made her money being pretty and witty. They gave her the keys to this city.
But next, it's time for your front pages. And then in the Mail, the front page reads this: Rayner is taking us for a ride. I wonder what that means. Find out next. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Some very heavy rain across Croatia this weekend, and some more heavy downpours likely in southern Italy as well. Generally fine with sunny spells, a bit of a breeze blowing across the Canaries. Sunshine too for the Algarve. Small chance of a shower if you're heading to Barcelona. Certainly some heavy showers over southern Italy, and those bright colours there suggesting some very heavy rain for Croatia. That should be clearing away as we head into the new working week. So Dubrovnik turning sunnier again for Tuesday. Goodbye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After a pretty windy day on Saturday, the winds are going to slowly ease as we go through the course of tonight, but there will still be some damaging gusts of wind, particularly across northern parts of Scotland. And that's courtesy of Storm Amy that's only very slowly drifting away towards Norway. And those isobars remain pretty tightly packed together as we go into Sunday. So some very windy conditions overnight tonight, particularly for northern Scotland. Otherwise, the winds will ease down somewhat, but it will still stay fairly blustery around western coasts. A lot of the showers, though, becoming confined to the west, eastern and southern areas turning dry with clear spells, and temperatures staying up in the high single figures for most of us, so a frost-free night to come. Now, Sunday promises to be generally a bit brighter and drier for many of us, and we'll even begin with some sunshine across northern parts of Scotland. But it will still be very windy. A wind warning still in place until midday, and still the potential for gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour across the Northern Isles and North East Scotland. Pretty blustery with some fairly frequent showers moving in through the Irish Sea into parts of northwest England, Wales and the southwest. Further south and east, though, across England, many places starting the day dry with some sunshine. And even though the cloud will bubble up as we go through the course of the day, many eastern and southern areas will stay largely dry on Sunday. And it won't be as chilly or as windy as it was on Saturday. Temperatures up by a degree or two, so feeling a bit more pleasant in that sunshine compared to earlier on in the weekend. Although fairly cloudy and damp through the afternoon across western parts of Scotland, with some fairly persistent rain coming into the west. And that rain will still be around as we go into Monday as well. And through the day, we'll see the wind strengthening once again, with coastal gales developing for northwestern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, fairly warm and pleasant for the northeast of Scotland, Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales, having a fine day on Monday with some sunny spells. Temperatures will also be above average, and that will continue through the week ahead. Plenty of fine weather in the south, wetter in the north.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the show. This is Alex Armstrong tonight, of course. I've got your front pages here for you. Should we go through them together? Let's start with The Star. They're leading with a interesting story here about the Labour Party conference. Traces of cocaine found at Labour's students' shindig, and they're calling it party lines. Clever play on words there. I've got a police detective here, so if you're one of those people, be wary. Let's go to the Mirror, shall we? Synagogue attack horror. We stand united. Terror survivors send message of unity after killings. The Sunday Express. Tory ICE force would deport 150,000 a year. Getting tough on immigration there. The Sun. 4 weeks after Rayner quits, 3 pads to free ride. New fury as Angela Rayner uses taxpayer car for fella. Oh, she can't stop, can she? She can't keep her hands out of it. The Mail. Rayner is taking us for a ride. Weeks after she quit in disgrace, we reveal how the former Deputy PM's boyfriend is ferried around in her taxpayer-funded bodyguards and in an 80,000 BMW paid for by you. The Sunday Telegraph, also leading on Badenoch. I'll deport 150,000 a year. All right, so... shall we start? I kind of feel like we've got to start with our old friend Ange. I saw a comment on your say earlier on. Someone was saying, what's happened to Angela Rayner? It's all gone very quiet. Well, you didn't have to wait very long, did you? Because she's back in the front pages again. Shall we go to the front page of The Sun on Sunday, just to show you that there again? 4 weeks after Rayner quits, 3 pads to free ride. New fury as Angela Rayner uses taxpayer car for her boyfriend. This also comes off the back of Labour Party conference last week, doesn't it, Paul? Because obviously we had many frontbench ministers, Secretaries of State, praising Angela Rayner, saying, oh, she's got to come back, but she's embroiled in what could be another scandal.
I mean, I think there's 2 things. One is she should still have protection officers because she's still obviously at risk as a former Deputy Prime Minister. We have to have that conversation about who does and who doesn't get the close protection officers. But I think somebody in her situation should. And the second thing is there is no way they should be giving a lift to Sam Tarry. And I mean, if that's
her boyfriend, just for the audience.
That's her boyfriend. That's the reason she moved down to Hove. She's paid a big price for her great love of Sam. But I don't think she should be giving him lifts in the car.
Yeah, Linda, it's not. I mean, it's embarrassing when you have the Secretaries of State come out saying, basically throwing support for the former Deputy Prime Minister. Now there's it looks like another scandal.
I just don't understand why she doesn't learn. That's the bit that confuses me, because she is quite a charismatic woman. She did fly the flag for a lot of young girls, you know, creating a kind of role model for them. And she was effective, people tell me, you know, with housing. But she just doesn't understand how to correct mistakes she's made in the past. That really leads me to think there must be a judgment problem, and ultimately that would extend itself beyond this kind of behaviour.
Peter, I'll just read a little bit more here for you, because I'm obviously reading this for the first time as you're hearing it at home. Pictures published exclusively in the Mail on Sunday show 2 close protection officers, I'm assuming paid for by the taxpayer. I can't confirm, but I'm assuming they are.
They will be, yeah.
Yeah, they will be. Helping Miss Rayner's on-off partner, don't know what that means. On-off partner, I'm guessing there's a bit of trouble in paradise there. Sam Tarry moved bags and boxes in a BMW X5 between their 2 homes. What do you make of that?
Well, I think it's very, very sad, especially for Paul, because I think you were trying to plan her return to frontline politics. That's what the word on the street says. I mean,
he's got you there.
How's that going now then?
I can't see it happening anytime soon. If I'm absolutely honest.
Not courtesy of today's papers, anyway.
No, not
yet. It's just not good. I just don't get it. I mean, this is common sense, isn't it? You'd think to yourself, she's one of the most high-profile politicians in the country, right? You think, what I'm not going to do is, where the paps are following me around, is put my boyfriend in my taxpayer-funded vehicle, Paul.
Because I mean, these guys are some. I mean, the close protection officers. Funnily enough, I had a curry with a couple of them during the week. Not these
wasn't
ones,
a beer and curry night, was it?
But it was a different minister, ex-minister being looked after. And certainly when I was a special advisor, the driver would sometimes say, "Would you like a lift home?" You know, they are sometimes quite nice, kind people who will help out. But I think there needs to be stronger rules that, you know, helping someone move house is not in the remit of our close protection officers.
I was a reporter on that newspaper, and I can tell you they'll be sticking to her like araldite in order to wait for the moment she trips up. Not just now. This has gone for months.
Yeah.
And yet she didn't understand that.
Sticking like
what? Just say, because we've also got the lads here, the security, Peter. We've got the bodyguards loading up the car. We've got them literally helping them move house. Is this what taxpayers expect to be for their money?
I mean, those guys will be in trouble now.
But there you go. So Rayner, lauded by the left as this hero of the working class, and the minute she gets a sniff of privilege, she wraps herself around it, abuses it, fiddles taxes allegedly, and gets the sack. I mean, these people, men are the people, women are the people, do me a favour. Their lust for power and greed and privilege makes me vomit.
Priceless opportunity wasted.
Well, there you go. And I don't want to waste an opportunity because Peter there gave me a great intro to our next segment, which is, get a sniff of it. Well, that's also been happening at Labour Party conference, it seems, because the Daily Star are leading with a front page here. Traces of cocaine found at Labour student shindig. Party lines.
I mean, I am a former...
You're having to do a lot of hard work tonight.
I can say I'm a former chair of the National Organisation of Labour Students, whose disco this was. And I remember on the night of the disco thinking, should I pop in, deciding not to and going home instead. But I have to say, Labour Students, there is no way this cocaine belonged to anyone in Labour Students. It's a nightclub that they hired out for the event. The traces would have been...
You can't say that with authority.
Well, I know...
You haven't got a clue.
I know these guys
I bet they're all in the cars with you, hoovering up the bugle, aren't they?
They are.
Getting on it. I don't blame them.
So vanilla, Peter.
Being around you is enough to turn me to drugs, I tell you. Let alone a whole room full of Labour people.
Honestly, they wouldn't. They're so straight.
No
chance.
Give it a rest. Listen, young people. I don't want to stick the boot into the too much. I expect these things to happen. I think many people expect these things. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not encouraging anyone to do it. I'm just saying I don't think it would be out of the question, Linda, for young people to be caught doing drugs at a party.
Of course not. I mean, I expect that, God forbid, I suppose, that it goes on at lots of conferences.
I bet it does. We were talking about, there was a report, we found there was traces of cocaine found in the House of Commons, wasn't there? I think even Downing Street had this problem at some point. So
isn't that why they closed the Groucho Club down?
Oh, well, I don't know, actually. You're know better than I am.
About that,
very, very quickly, then, because I want to talk more about this story in the next hour. But Kemi Badenoch's got really tough, hasn't she? She's Margaret Thatcher reincarnated. That's what she is. She's now on support 150,000 people. So she's in a battle of numbers with Reform UK, Peter.
3,000 a week, nearly.
Yeah,
that's going to be a lot of people.
A lot of flights.
The logistics of that.
Do you think it's plausible?
If you've got enough numbers and enough money to do it. You're going to have 3,000 people a week, OK? So they've got to be located, they've got to be detained, they've got to be held somewhere, the flights have got to be organised. Logistically, it's going to be a real challenge. If it's achieved, I'd be shouting about it from the rooftops. I'd be absolutely delighted. But the logistics of it, you know, and I do sometimes think that when it comes to the announcement of Tory policies, they just go, right, which one we doing this week? Yeah, all right, that seems okay.
Yeah.
You know, there doesn't seem to be a lot of planning behind it, but if it were to happen, if it were achieved, then I'd be extremely pleased.
And those ifs are doing heavy lifting in those cases, aren't
They are.
Linda, very briefly, if you don't mind, because the big if is if they win the next election, right, which doesn't look very likely at this point in time.
It looks almost not impossible, but, you know, the fear is that, you know, and I say this as a small C card-carrying Conservative, that the Conservative Party will implode. That's the fear. So I think this is a desperate attempt to try and prevent that from happening. But when we talk about Kemi Badenoch trying to be a Mrs Thatcher, she should try to be herself.
Totally agree.
Be more sure of herself, be more sure of her policies, because I'm really sick of people saying they're trying to be Mrs Thatcher.
Yeah. She's trying to out-Farage Nigel Farage here, isn't she?
She's trying to be a mini Trump. You know, but why hasn't she got her own policies?
This is the problem. And listen, Ben Leo is joining us live from Washington, DC to talk about this, because, of course, I really want to hear what Ben thinks about this. Of course, she's copying Trump, as you correctly said, Linda. This is a Trump-style removal force that's going to supposedly deport 150,000 illegal migrants a year. So Ben Leo's going to join us to talk about that next. This is Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
My dad used to play it constantly, you know, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Matt Monro, Sammy Davis Jr., you name it, I mean, all of them. And I came home one afternoon after school and he had this song playing. It was called Special Angel by Malcolm Bourne. And it caught my interest. And since then I asked him for a CD, like, you know, a swing CD, and I got it for Christmas. And I was listening to it all the time, and it became a thing, and I started to sing along and got used to it and just really enjoyed it. So it's been my life, really. It has been my life.
I suppose the thing about swing is you've got so many really good songs. Yeah. What do you pick?
They're only 2 minutes, 3 minutes long songs, so if you've got to do an hour's set, there's plenty of songs there, you know, to fill that. You can't just do 10 like pop songs today. You know, they're all 2 minutes 30. I think Fly Me to the Moon.
So did you go, have I got a story with that one? Or is it...
Oh, it's always... Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. It's always about a story. Yeah, it's... any song that I ever choose for any show that I ever do has either got a memory or a story behind it. Because, yeah, swing's been my life, you know what I mean? So I've never sort of drifted anywhere else. If it's not broke, don't fix it.
What I find fascinating with this sort of music, though, is that it's... I mean, it's old now.
Yeah.
It doesn't age.
Well, that's the beauty of it, you know. I think for many years, all these songs, you know, people have covered them. Certainly myself, I have too. My first album was, wow, a long time ago. And
that was called My Way, wasn't it?
Doing It My Way, yes, it was, yeah. And so, for me, all these songs that have been my life since I was a little boy, I've grew up with them, and they don't get old, and they never will. And it takes somebody for myself, you know, like myself, to continue them on. You know, Michael Bublé did it, Robbie Williams did it, and I'm still doing it, you know.
The People's Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's go to the front page of The Times that's just landed. Quite a big story here. We were just talking about this with my panel. China spy trial scrapped days after top secret Whitehall talks. Now, there's a lot to talk about in this, and I need some time to read it before I give you proper commentary. So we will get to this in the next hour, but let's focus for now on the front page of The Telegraph, because there's a man's opinion I'd really like to get on this big Badenoch story. She said she will deport 150,000 illegal migrants a year. And Ben Leo on the late show live is joining me, and of course his show starts at midnight tonight. Ben, this is a Trump-style policy that Kemi Badenoch's rattled out. I think what the public want to know in Britain, and I'm sure you'll feel the same way, is how similar to Trump's policy is this, and how porous is this? How many people might have slipped through the net in America that might have been legally there that have actually been deported?
How many people have been deported who may have been legally here? I mean, goodness knows. I mean, that is the argument from the left. They will say all the time, even on the show last night here in DC, the panel was saying to me, yeah, it's fine, but you're basically throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You're taking out all the illegals, all the drug dealers, rapists, criminals, and you're also kicking out US citizens. I've yet to see proof of that, so I don't know. I mean, they can say that, but I've yet to see proof of it. I just wonder how legal citizens are being kicked out. The argument is from the left that there isn't due process. ICE, this side of the pond, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the furious, violent force from the Department for Homeland Security, they've been rounding up all the illegals. I think it's 1.5 million now that have been kicked out under Trump's administration since the start of January. This story is pretty big because, let me paint the picture for you. ICE over this side of the pond have been embarking on a pretty astonishing social media campaign over recent weeks and months. I'm just going to read you some of the tweets now. They tweeted a couple of days ago saying, defend the homeland, secure America's future, kick out the illegals. Then they posted a nostalgic American video on social media which got tens of millions of views, basically showing America in times of old. Baywatch clips, Black Hawk helicopters flying over NASCAR races, hamburgers, hot dogs, and it was captioned, recapture our national identity, so a very nostalgic piece. And even today, they've posted a clip saying, America is for Americans. We are asleep no longer. So they are properly going for it over here when it comes to illegal migration. The problem is, and this will be an issue if and when the Tories get in and they indeed do embark on a UK ICE by deporting, 150,000 illegals a year, 750,000 over the course of a parliament. I don't see how it can be logistically done. We can't even stop dinghies crossing the channel, let alone deport nearly 1 million illegals. But the problem is the same problem you have here in America, which is the left are mobilising and they are physically stopping these ICE agents, these ICE officers in the likes of Chicago. Portland in Oregon now is kicking off, the far-left lunatic city of Portland on the west coast. You're getting large Antifa members skirmishing with ICE agents. Even today, there was a really disturbing incident where ICE agents were boxed in by 10 cars in Chicago. Some of the people in the cars, they're leftists, they had machine guns, shots were fired, and they were exchanged with ICE agents. And the ICE agents had to pop some shots off and clipped one of the drivers, one of the Antifa members, I think in the chest, and they went to hospital. So fine, you can embark on a big scheme to get rid of illegals, but I predict if this happens in the UK, things could get a little bit tasty, a little bit nasty when it comes to the left, because they won't just allow this to happen, as we're seeing in the United States.
Yeah, it's certainly concerning, Ben. Very briefly, how far behind America do you think we are, having spent a lot of time out there now?
Well, I've always said, I sound like a broken record, but I'll say it again because it's my catchphrase almost. I think we're 4 or 5 years behind the United States. I reckon now we're currently going through our Joe Biden era, and in the United States, the Joe Biden era really was the worst of the worst. You had 15 to 25 illegal migrants flooding through the southern border. Lots of people argue intentionally for a myriad of reasons, but I mean to harvest votes for starters. So yeah, I think we're a couple of years behind, and it wouldn't surprise me if this did happen, but maybe not necessarily under the Tories, but maybe reform if the polls are correct and they do win.
Ben, sorry to rush you, but we're going to have you back next hour anyway, so we're going to hear more from you, and I'd love to get more of your insights on this. Thanks for joining me for now, but we'll see you very shortly. Of course, thank you to my panel for being here tonight. Linda, Peter, Paul, wrong way around looking at you, but you get the idea. I will see you all very shortly with our boatload more news. Stay tuned.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption.
Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good evening and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. After a pretty windy day on Saturday, the winds are going to slowly ease as we go through the course of tonight, but there will still be some damaging gusts of wind, particularly across northern parts of Scotland. And that's courtesy of Storm Amy that's only very slowly drifting away towards Norway, and those isobars remain pretty tightly packed together as we go into Sunday. So some very windy conditions overnight tonight, particularly for northern Scotland. Otherwise, the winds will ease down somewhat, but it will still stay fairly blustery around western coasts. A lot of the showers, though, becoming confined to the west, eastern and southern areas turning dry with clear spells, and temperatures staying up in the high single figures for most of us, so a frost-free night to come. Now, Sunday promises to be generally a bit brighter and drier for many of us, and will even begin with some sunshine across the northern parts of Scotland. But it will still be very windy. A wind warning still in place until midday, and still the potential for gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour across the Northern Isles and North East Scotland. Pretty blustery with some fairly frequent showers moving in through the Irish Sea into parts of northwest England, Wales and the southwest. Further south and east, though, across England, many places starting the day dry with some sunshine, and even though the cloud will bubble up as we go through the course of the day, many eastern and southern areas will stay largely dry on Sunday, and it won't be as chilly or as windy as it was on Saturday. Temperatures up by a degree or two, so feeling a bit more pleasant in that sunshine compared to earlier on in the weekend, although fairly cloudy and damp through the afternoon across western parts of Scotland with some fairly persistent rain coming into the west. And that rain will still be around as we go into Monday as well. And through the day, we'll see the wind strengthening once again with coastal gales developing for northwestern parts of Scotland. Otherwise, fairly warm and pleasant for the northeast of Scotland, Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales having a fine day on Monday with some sunny spells. Temperatures will also be above average, and that will continue through the week ahead. Plenty of fine weather in the south, wetter in the north.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Boy, oh boy, the front pages are hot tonight, let me tell you that. Tony of Arabia, the front page of The Observer. Of course, they're talking about Tony Blair. He looks like he's become the president of Gaza. Angela Rayner, she's in another scandal. She's been, allegedly, her boyfriend's been using taxpayer-funded cabs to get from A to B. She even moved her house with them. We've also got Kemi Badenoch talking about deporting 150,000 people. That and so much more. Stay tuned. See you shortly.
You could bank an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. And if that wasn't enough, you'll also get to drive away in this brand new motorhome. This brand new 2025 Benamar Primero could be yours. It comes with all the mod cons you'd expect from a vehicle worth over £74,000 and comfortably sleeps 4 people. This prize package is worth over £104,000. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Blinds close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk then? No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it? Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored. Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight's Late Edition. Breaking tonight on the front page of The Express and The Telegraph, Kemi Badenoch's secure UK borders plan will include a US-style removals force that will deport supposedly 150,000 illegal migrants a year. Also coming up...
Yes, coming up in the United States, do we need a fast, furious